Donald Trump's administration just took another major loss in federal court. And this time, we're talking about more than $4 billion in federal money meant to fight homelessness across America. A federal judge has thrown out HUD's 2026 funding plan, and now the administration has to go back and do it again legally. This fight centers around something called the Continuum of Care program, or COC. It's one of the federal government's major programs for funding local homelessness services, housing programs, and organizations helping people get off the streets. And we're not talking about pocket change. HUD's 2026 funding notice involved approximately $4.4 billion in homelessness assistance. That's money communities around the country depend on to operate programs dealing with one of America's biggest problems. The Trump administration was trying to significantly change how that money would be distributed. The new approach shifted priorities away from the previous system, including changes affecting funding for permanent housing programs. This is where the fight became serious. Permanent supportive housing is designed to help people experiencing long-term homelessness get stable housing while also receiving services they may need. Critics argued that the administration's changes could disrupt programs communities were already relying on. SAR, a coalition that included local governments and nonprofit organizations, challenged the administration in federal court. And once again, his favorite place lately, the courtroom, that's where this fight ended up. Their argument wasn't simply that they disagreed with Trump's homelessness policy. They argued that HUD violated federal law in the way it made these changes. And the federal court agreed. U.S. District Judge Mary S. McElroy of Rhode Island ruled that HUD's 2026 funding notice violated federal law and vacated the entire notice. That means the administration cannot simply move forward with this version of the funding plan. HUD now has to issue a new funding notice that complies with the law. So this isn't necessarily the end of Donald Trump and his administration's attempt to change homelessness policy. But the court is saying, if you're going to change the rules involving billions of dollars, you still have to follow the law when you do it. And I'm keeping it real. America absolutely has a homelessness problem. Anybody walking through major cities can see that. The government should be asking whether these programs actually work and whether taxpayers are getting results. But there's another side to this. Changing a federal program is one thing. Changing it in a way that a federal court finds violates the law is something completely different. And this isn't the first time courts have ruled that actions by the Trump administration crossed legal lines. Federal judges have repeatedly found administration policies unlawful or unconstitutional. No administration, Republican or Democrat, gets to ignore the legal process simply because it believes its policy is better. And behind all these lawsuits and billions of dollars are real people. Veterans, families, people with disabilities, people dealing with addiction or mental health struggles, and Americans who simply fell on hard times. When Washington fights over this money, those people can end up caught in the middle. So now the question becomes, what does HUD Secretary Scott Turner do next? Turner has been carrying out the Trump administration's push to reshape HUD, cut programs, and move federal homelessness policy away from the previous system. But this court ruling shows there are legal limits on how far they can go. Does Turner rewrite the funding plan and try again? And if he does, what will that mean for the communities and vulnerable Americans depending on this federal money? What do you think? Should the Trump administration completely change the way America fights homelessness? Or should more of this money continue going toward permanent housing programs? Let me know in the comments. Share this video and make sure you subscribe to Beyond the Headlines for more stories like this.